Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming to today's AIAA Los Angeles, Las Vegas e-town hall meeting on March 13. We have a very exciting talks and speakers today, so please enjoy. It's fun. And just a reminder, today is the last day of the Pacific Standard Time. So tonight, around 2 a.m. in the morning of March 14, the clock will be moved forward for 1 hour. So we're moving into the daylight saving time again. Yeah, a new beginning of the year. So this is, you see on the screen at the bottom, I think it's kind of cut off a little bit. But anyway, it's our tentative agenda. So around 10:15, Paul, Greg, and Alan will start the presentation and the Q&A. And the time is flexible, as I said, and afterwards we have a simple discussion to demonstrate and have a discussion how to use the AIAA Engage and Discussion board. Is a very useful tool for all AIAA members. Okay, so just because sometimes we get comments, sometimes get confused. So what I want to say is actually it's been several years. I've been to several Hyperloop events, so I've been very excited. I want to bring the program to AIAA. So I've been working on this, so we're very excited about today's program event. And again, whenever we have like event like Super Hornet or B1, B2, we are not trying to sell, or those, amazing aircraft or any product. We are a non-profit organization. Our intention is to inspire people and get people, members, to have fun and networking. That's our most important part. If you do a great job, we encourage you, and we have awards to give it to you, and that's a very important part of our business or operation. So some logistics. The platform of AIAA Zoom is provided by AIAA headquarters in Virginia or in DC area. So highly appreciate. It's kind of expensive, but really appreciate the great platform. Okay, this session actually just confirmed with Paul and Alan. So and Greg has agreed previous. So all this session will be recorded, will be posted online, and you will be notified. And if any issue you got disconnected from the session, please keep trying to reconnect. It should be just a glitch, but it hasn't been happening, so it should be fine. And for the audio, if your bandwidth is limited or computer has something screw up and take time, you can try to just dial in with the number, and it is actually might help for the bandwidth issue if anything. And if you have the video show up, or you can then kind of slow down, you can temporarily turn off the video, and that should keep your audio streaming much smoother. And please sign in your real name, because it's hard to identify your iPad or iPhone or whatever name you used. So the name is easy for us. And also, if you have any question, please type in Q&A box. Is highly recommended, because this way the speakers and we can track, but will not disrupt it. If you put in the chat box, that's okay, but it's hard to tell you are chatting with other members or something. And normally in in-person event, we have networking before and afterwards, but in online, it's difficult to do that. But if you type something in the chat box, your information, and let people know you are here, and they will be able to see you are there. Otherwise, you won't see each other. Another issue about the security, the Zoom has improved greatly with the help of AIAA, the security and privacy. But if you are still concerned, like you are a defense contractor, you are welcome to use just dial in. Don't have to install apps, on your computer. And please don't talk about any sensitive information, national security, or personal information or private issues. So that's keep everybody safe while enjoying the event. So just a few words for AIAA. Southern California, as you know, this heavily aerospace populated. We have SpaceX or many companies, Northrop Grumman building the James Webb Space Telescope, going to be launched. And we have a company building a Super Hornet X-35, EA-18G, and the exciting Mars 2020 Perseverance, and Mars Helicopter JPL, great jobs. Aerospace Corporation, Global Aerospace, many company, SpaceX doing space debris, planetary defense, asteroid mining, exploration, space tourism, Virgin Galactic and Virgin Orbit, did a very good job, launch satellite from airplane, Launcher 1, and the SLS development, and the student rocketing. Of course, you can see the ground, the exciting SpaceX, Starlink, and the SN10, those kind of things, Starship. Just a few words. If you AIAA is a great organization. Once you sign in, become a member, you immediately can enjoy the AIAA engage and chat with members worldwide. So I'll explain that after the presentation Hyperloop, how to use it. And here are some upcoming events. So next week we are going to have a speaker talking on how to go warp speed, and quantum gravity is related to the Caltech Nobel Prize thing, the LEGO satellite. But this is more on how to achieve warp speed with quantum gravity. Then we're also going to touch a little bit quantum computation, a little bit more on aerospace. But then March 27 is already related to today's theme, because some people are trying to build Hyperloop on Moon, Mars, or any other planet bodies. So we have the Space Architecture Gathering led by Professor Madhu Sankaravanu in USC. It's kind of a mixture of architecture, civil engineering, art, and aerospace. And there's a couple events coming up. That we also have the Columbia and the Legacy of Space Shuttle program, but our Odyssey series book author for the 40th anniversary, for the first space shuttle. We have space, a new space that's also kind of related to today's talk. And Dr. Dan Raymer will have his collaborator talking about the Mars airplane just released publicly. So, okay, so membership program, we have different level of membership. If you're interested, please look at this website, AIAA.org/membership. Educator is free, and this is Aldo Martinez is our membership chair. And then we just have a new high school membership announced, and this website AIAA.org/HS, and our STEM K-12 outreach chair. We offer a program, to our classrooms and school systems. She's our liaison, leader of the, the educator student K-12. So welcome. This is new. This is brand new. And AIAA has been consistently doing, national thing and locally. So due to pandemic, our next aviation propulsion forum will become virtual completely. Then defense, ascent, and SciTech. These are the 4 flagship program for national AIAA. Just glance through, we have been constantly doing events. Okay, this is February 13th, nuclear propulsion, hot topic. March 2020, also hot topic. Intuitive machines, they are sending landers to the moon every year from 21 to 26. Now we have happy hour. Again, we have Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and sustainable aviation. This is a national level event, but doing locally. The leader, Dr. Marty Bradley, and these are the, either AIAA fellow, Bruce or Ampere, acquired by Sir Air, and Val and Steve. These are the national, international leaders in this field. And we also connect to students. And this is Kushbu, our STEM K-12 chair, and our students. USC doing a very good job. Field doing electric aircraft learning from birds, and a panel to share experience with students how to get job during pandemic and how to advance their career. And these are the UCLA 9 student, Dr. Nahul Melamed, leader planetary defense effort, aerospace corporation. So yeah, we have 3 very, very good speakers, and there's an ultra exciting. So there's a kind of a very important step for our Hyperloop program events. They all have very exciting records. So each of them, I prepared 2 pages. So what I would do, I'll just say a few words for each of them, and Paul, Mr. Wilhausen will take it, and they are welcome to introduce themselves as well. So Mr. Paul Wilhausen is a notary signing agent. He's also doing a great thing for ADT security as a faculty member in University of Physics. And he has tremendous experience in IT and technology. And he can share about, how his experience, with the Japan and those sci-fi, those things. And he has been engaged in the, even have the UN is a keynote speaker in the UN headquarters with Boutros Ghali, the former secretary, of the United Nations. So he's trying to, help out for the Hyperloop TT. He will touch a little bit. They will also touch a little bit Virgin Hyperloop and also other things. So this is very exciting. But I'll leave it to him for a more introduction for himself. And Mr. Gregory Hank is engineer, is a distinguished fellow, is a Society for Civil Engineer, is the fellow and life member of ASCE, some kind of equivalent to AIAA. But once you go to outer planet, civil engineering, rocketry, art design, architecture, agriculture, they are all combined. It's very important aerospace topic. So Mr. Alan Simmons is a designer and digital artist. It's a amazing background, but for some reason he reminded me of Jay Cameron. But he's doing many things, but he has passion, has contribution to the film industry, and he's also teaching and for the gaming and designing art and the film production. So we have links available. You can look at his amazing design. So without further ado, let's give it to Paul. Mr. Wilhausen, it's yours.
Right. Yeah. Good morning. Hi, my name is Paul Wilhausen. I've been, as I was talking to Ken earlier today, I came out of the telecommunications industry of the 1990s. That's where I got a lot of my technical training. I started after I graduated from college. I moved to Japan, lived there for about 4 years. Lived and worked within a Japanese engineering environment, that kind of thing, in the city of Toyota, and brought a lot of that experience back to the United States and started working in the United States telecommunications industry of the late 90s and early 2000s. Later, I really started expanding into a lot of entrepreneurial work and things of that nature. Had a very strong interest in technology, but still working in a very conservative environment of, living wills and trusts, mortgage lending, and things of that nature, which a lot of you can probably relate to. In 2012, I think the Hyperloop Alpha PDF came out, and it was a real success, a real game changer. A lot of people in that 10 years have really taken it to heart, really embraced it, and made good use of it, that sort of thing. One of the big assertions that I'm putting forth now in one of my white papers is that we're kind of at the next phase of the Hyperloop, which Greg can speak more to about, is we need to start doing evacuated tube tests at 1,000 kilometers per hour is my focus, what I'm pushing out on LinkedIn and some white papers and other things. So that's kind of my premise. And you can kind of see what I've done as far as my resume, my bio and whatnot, but I'll let Greg take it from there. I might have to mute myself out here and let Greg and Alan take some of the questions. I just got some really bad news about my dad, and I might have to step out. Okay, but you have everything you need. So Greg and Alan, just go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start off, and I'm really sorry to hear that, Paul, but do what you need to do. But moving ahead on this presentation, I got involved with Hyperloop, frankly, when I retired. I retired from civil engineering, large major projects around the US, a little bit in Canada, but primarily around the US. And mostly in a design build or public-private partnership format in the latter part of my career. I've worked about half my career in the public sector and about half in the private sector. I worked for state DOT. I've worked for the TCAs, Transportation Corridor Agencies in Orange County. On the public side. On the private side, I've worked as a consultant engineer, both in design and construction management. Mostly worked, most of my time on the private was with a contractor, and they were eventually owned by the largest contractor in the world. So we had a lot of contacts with large works overseas, as well as works close by in the US, and all highway and transit infrastructure projects. And but I was also responsible in some degree for the financing, not responsible for, but interacted greatly with the financing of projects these major projects, as well as all of the right-of-way necessary, all of the utilities and their relocation, all the permitting process. I signed the EIS for the San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor project in Orange County. So that's kind of been my background, pretty broad as far as civil engineering go. But when I retired, I started working for Hyperloop, which gave a unique opportunity. The way Hyperloop HTT is structured, you earn future stock ownership rather than getting paid. Well, as being retired, I didn't need the paycheck, so that worked out well for me, and I could control my own hours. So shortly after I started work for them, they decided they should really build a test facility, which I'd like to reiterate right now, here and now, that that's absolutely what they need. They secured property in the Central Valley of California for this test facility, HRDC, Hyperloop Research and Development Center. And we brought together international contractors, manufacturers, designers, engineers, architects to try to structure a test facility at the property we secured, so that we could do a collaborative design process. As you can imagine, if this is I'll give you a couple parameters that we were still under working the assumption. 12-foot diameter tube, a vehicle operate inside the tube. We evacuate the air out of the tube so there's no resistance, which allows us to reach that high speed. So that's the basic concept of it. And so we had to find all the elements that would be necessary to put that together, at least for a test facility, which would be a single tube, whereas in operations, we have to have dual tubes in all cases, as traffic would move one direction through the tubes. So to give you a little idea what's involved with this, we really brought it down to 4 major elements that we had to have a successful project. We'd have to have basically a civil construction. We have to manufacture these tubes. We have to put in all the air evacuation system. We have to have ground support for these, and they have to be designed and built to exacting standards because of the high speed involved with the transportation. We also had to do provide an operations center, so we would have an ability to monitor in the ultimate all of the vehicles and all of the tubes that were in operations. And then we also would have to have a terminus. We'd have to provide gates for people to come in and out, and that's complicated in the sense that we can build a traditional gate and we can have which is under normal atmospheric pressure. We have a vehicle inside the tube that's at normal atmospheric pressure, but somehow the people have to go through an evacuated tube to get between them. So you have to have some way to connect those two pressures, if you will, through a vacuum. Technically a near vacuum, not an actual vacuum. So that is the civil engineering aspects, as well as building 2 centers and then building the tubes themselves. Then we need an architect because we have to design all of these for functionality. And so we talked to some, all of the people we talked to were with companies in the top 3, either in the US or the world. Then we also needed to move into vehicles. Vehicles, frankly, have got the most attention, I think. There have been contests around the US and a lot of photo opportunities with them. A lot of architectural renderings, I should say, or just plain renderings of the vehicles. But in my mind, frankly, if you took a Bombardier private jet, took off the wings and the tail, you'd have a darn good starting point for what the vehicle would look like and how it would function. So we did talk to Bombardier and others with regard to that. The 4th aspect is what we call systems, some way to control how the vehicles maneuver. Power systems on transit systems is also considered a system, is generally lumped in with systems. We lumped power in with the aircraft or the vehicle because in the case of Hyperloop, Bombardier or other Learjets and others basically provide their own power for the vehicle, and we thought it'd be best to keep those combined. But the other systems, particular positive train control, would be the equivalent of trains, of keeping track of where every vehicle is, how fast it's moving, if any action is needed to make sure there's no collision. All of the comfort levels measured and kept track of at the center. And you can imagine the different systems that we would want to monitor within the system, how well the evacuation system's working, how close to zero air inside we are getting, temperatures, all kinds of things. And that's the major element that we'd have to provide. So I mentioned we'd have to do it in a collaborative environment. If you have a 12-foot tube and you have a 10-foot vehicle inside of that, it gives you 2 feet to work with to provide all of the systems and measurements to power and control the vehicle. And there's not a lot of tolerance, and you can't really have one person saying, well, I think I'll take a couple inches here to put in some monitoring device or some power unit and not expect that may have some impact on the overall size of the tube and what's happening within the tube. So all of this would have to be pretty collaborative to what goes in the tube, what goes into the vehicle with regard to systems, how they get to the control center, et cetera. So if you look at it, I like to say Hyperloop, and what got my interest in spending time on it is a application that nothing new has to be invented for it. Everything that we need to run a Hyperloop exists. We just haven't used it in this scale necessarily, or in this type of operation. So the real key is to try to take existing technology, advance it if new is needed. I don't think we should be afraid of that, but basically we can do it with the existing technology. The areas that I think are the biggest problematic areas that we would need to focus on this test center. And by the way, I should interject that we brought everybody together and we had a consensus of how to proceed. We did not have a consensus on how to finance it, and we did not move ahead with the project for lack of financing. It's always tough when you have a new technology for people to invest it and try to figure out how they're going to realize a profit from their investment when it's so new and untested. So at any rate, the areas that we had the most difficulty is coming into a station. You picture yourself moving it down a tube at 750 miles an hour, say, and all of a sudden you have to pull off of that tube somehow, and you got to pull into a station at 0 miles an hour, and then you have to get the passengers in and out, and then you got to get back into that flow. And that's not an easy process. Some thoughts are to simply stop in line, space the vehicles far enough apart. You can stop in line, do the transfer in line, and then proceed. The other is to pull offline, and then you have time to make your transfer. And you're dealing with people that are not exactly astronauts. It has to be handicap accessible. It could take some time to make the boarding and deboarding process. So pulling offline is probably the better solution, but then you have to have a way to allow the vehicles to go straight or to veer off. One concept is to simply slow the vehicle down that is stopping at that station, and then fall and take off the mag levitation, fall onto a carriage of sorts, and just go on rail into the station and load up, unload, load, and then move forward. But at any rate, that's one of the major areas. What I think is the single biggest area is that magnetic levitation and magnetic powertrain are two totally different systems. So let's just talk about the levitation. In use on high-speed rail right now, but it lifts, and it just lifts a vehicle versus the force of gravity. And what we have to do within this system is we not only have to lift against gravity, but we have to keep the vehicle against the walls as we approach various horizontal and vertical or complex curves. So picture yourself on a vertical incline of say 1%, and then at the top of that incline, it goes down to a -1% slope. So at 750 miles an hour, that vehicle is going to want to just shoot through the top of the pipe, the tube. So you have to have a way to force the vehicle down as much as you would have force a vehicle up if it were just sitting on the ground. Likewise, on left curves, you will have forces against the right side of the tube. Right curves, you have forces against the left side of the tube. And it all has to be resisted on a dynamic basis. Excuse me. To add to that complexity, you also have to rotate the vehicle within the tube in order to keep the G forces straight into the seat, perpendicular to the seat for the passenger comfort. And in order to do that, if you look at normal highways, they're about 6 or 8% banking. We call it super elevation, but it's a banking. Higher speeds at Indy, maybe 10 to 12%. You go up to an airplane, they reach somewhere around 35% banking. At these speeds, I would guess our estimate is it'd be about 45% banking. So you have to be able to turn the vehicle within the tube up to 45 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise, and still resist the pressures against all walls of the tube. And that, again, is all technology that exists, but has never been applied at that scale or that application. So those are some of the major things. I will say that we also looked at the other elements that every project has to look at. We have to control, we have to have administrative function. We have to control the financing and contracting, which is difficult on highways and transit. Contracting would be a straight bid where the owner manages the sequencing, or a design bid build, or design build where they get put together. But at any rate, it is difficult to do that when you're going within different functions. Safety, quality, and sustainability are probably the keys, as well as the financing of the project. So I'll take a break there. We can move on, and if you have any questions, I'll be around.
Okay, so Greg, you were saying you will answer the question a little bit later, right? After Alan.
However you would like to do it. I can do it now or later.
Oh, okay. So maybe, yeah, maybe we move ahead, Alan, so then later you can answer question together.
Yeah.
All right, so Alan, I'm pulling up your, the slide you mentioned. Let me see. Stop sharing. Also, Alan, you can start to introduce yourself.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, but yeah, you called my name, Alan Simmons. So I've been working on visualization for a long time in film and animation and games and advertising and other things. And I've always had a fascination for technology and space, you know. And I did an illustration of Hyperloop just for today. Hyperloop on the moon. So it's an incorporation of the idea of a Hyperloop system on the moon. There probably you won't need the pumps, you know, because the moon has it's very close to vacuum as far as we know on the lunar surface. So it would be a different challenge. You have 1/6 of the Earth's gravity, and all of that stuff will come into play. So I don't know if you're sure. Is there any visuals to this? Because I'm on the phone. I can't see what's going on. Is there a visual presentation?
Yeah, right now I'm showing the Hyperloop you designed, the picture. And
oh, yeah, okay.
we have your website ready whenever you want to turn it to, and I can
Okay,
show the other two.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I did 2 Hyperloop, and what else did I send for those 3 that we got?
You send a Tesla, the one you designed, the drone you designed for Tesla Foundation, and the other is the Martian base Hyperloop.
Yeah, and that's a code thing. So it's the moon-based Hyperloop that I did just for today. You know, so I put it up also on my site as we were speaking, so you can see it on the just the last one. The one on the moon is in the space illustrations on the Burbank site.
Yeah, I'm switching to it at the bottom or in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, it's at the Hyperloop on the moon is on the bottom. It's the last one, so it's easy to find. Just scroll down all the way to the bottom. So I'm just gonna. Yeah,
it's there. We just put it there.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the lunar surface. Ever since I was a kid, I've known that the lighting system on the moon is different than on the Earth because you don't have an atmosphere. So there's no aerial perspective, and getting a sense of distance is much more difficult. And the shadows you will find darker, and the sunlight will be stark because there's no atmosphere to filter the sunlight. And not many people, I've noticed, almost nobody gets this right in movies. You know, they tried it at Ad Astra, but they made some other mistakes visually on that movie. But what I did was I put a vehicle similar to what Greg just described. It's not the Bombardier, but it's actually sleeker. But it's basically the same thing as he described. And in the tube, you can just barely make it out. Of course, the one above that is construction on the lunar surface during the night. Now, as you probably know, on the moon, the nights and days are much longer. They're as long as a full phase of the moon because full phase of the moon, which is just under a month, gives you a full day on the lunar surface. So a lunar day and night together is just less than a month in length. So there's a long night and a long day. And the other illustrations are based on the story I was developing. I was approached by 3 different people on 3 different occasions if I would help to design a remake on a British TV show, Space 1999. And nothing came of it, but except all my designs and all my illustrations. So I just threw them up here, a lot of them. And there's a storyline behind it, which I do not explain here for obvious reasons, because we'll get into copyright problems and that kind of thing. But my basic function with this project is you come up with an idea, and I can quickly show you what it's going to look like. I've sat down with producers, I've sat down with architects and other people, and if they have an idea, I have a pen and a piece of paper, they can quickly see their idea, because I'm very good at quick sketching as well. So that's basically my function in this, is to visualize anything anybody can come up with. And I have a pretty good understanding of the principles, so that when an engineer or somebody explains this to me, I can get it. Greg was talking about attractive magnetic levitation, linear motor principles, and those are pretty easy to grasp, the ideas of magnetic levitation. And there are several kinds. I think we've had that for decades, and the idea of a vacuum tube has been around also for decades, and it makes complete sense. You evacuate a tube of 90, I don't know what the amount is, but close to a vacuum, so that you have minimal resistance and no I guess, sonic boom problems or whatever the issue is. But and I illustrate it, to what degree of detail the engineer or whoever wants, and you can see the future. I mean, that's basically what I do, is I show you what the future is going to look like based on where we're headed. And I also design other things, I'm working on a show now which will involve a lot of jungle illustration, but that's another story, So that's basically what I do. On the side, like Paul, who brought me into this project because he loved my work. He and I are both Buddhists, Nichiren Buddhists. We practice, and I've been involved not only in that, but then also just to give a little background of me. I've been involved in the doctrinal questions that we've been dealing with. We broke away from a priest group, the priests about 30 years ago, and so I've been deeply involved in sorting out the doctrinal allegations involved with that. And the function is to be able to create peace and prosperity in the world, so that we can have, the society that we dream of. We really believe that in Buddhism that we need to self-reformation of every human being. At least, if a certain percentage of human beings self-reform, it will have that same effect on the rest. That's the theory. In Japanese, it's called Eshofuni, which is basically the oneness of life and the environment. And this whole thing, the reason I love this technology is because it is about creating a bright future for people, and the most important thing, I always have to remind myself, whatever we're doing, whatever we're designing, whatever I'm drawing, if I'm drawing something that someone else is designing, right? The most important thing is the function for human beings. How does it enrich the life of every person? I think that's the most important thing. And I've gotten into teaching, and one of the reasons is for the same thing, because we're trying to improve the lives of every human being in whatever way we can. And I've always been a daydreamer, and now I get to put my daydreams on, well, I was going to say on paper, but it's not on paper anymore, it's on a computer. And it makes it easier in some ways, but nothing will replace pen and paper or pencil and paper for quick sketch, So when I'm teaching students, I teach them first and foremost, let's master the pen and the paper, or the pencil and the paper. And so that when we go on to the digital stuff, we are that much better and that much more, armed to deal with the assignments that we are dealing with. So I'm looking forward to working with whatever ideas and technology Greg and Paul and whoever else is involved comes up with, and put it into an image. And so this is what it's going to look like. And they may say to me, well, the front is too long, or this is not aerodynamic enough, or it may have been aerodynamic enough, but we just did some tests and we need to make it sleeker, whatever it is, and then I can tweak it, So that's basically my function. It's to visualize and help other people daydream and make concrete. It really helps to, when you do that, to make a project more concrete. So anyway, that's my little 2 cents worth.
Yeah, Alan, actually, if you look at our AIAA motto or mission, to improve human life is one of the major missions.
That is great. That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
human beings are the important thing. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was just trying to say, for example, I just mentioned we had the February 27th sustainable aviation talks. It was about, this flying cars, electric hybrid aircraft, biofuel, for future cities, those kind of things. So, and also, the aerospace, we go to Mars, Moon, that's for the, better life, future, And the Apollo technology turned out to benefit the human life. So
absolutely.
Exactly what you were saying are doing.
Yeah, and you're speaking of flying cars and that kind of thing. I was working for a guy, and I was turning out tons of material on either drones or flying cars, but based on what other people say, and how, because I always have my own ideas, but it's always, in the end, you got to pull in the engineers and the scientists and work with them. But I love doing that. I love, creating things visually. And so there are numerous ideas for cars. Some of the things that I've seen, I've gone online, and some of them seem pretty fragile, and I'm thinking to myself, how are they going to make that work, But somehow, this is how we work together, right? So.
Yes. By the way, for example, for this, I'm showing this Hyperloop you designed. But do you happen to, you also do it for Greg, for kind of animation, kind of something moving, or is still at the stage?
So yes. Okay. So here's the thing. Since the shutdown, you see, the union. I'm a member of the union. They have a computer lab that has programs that. I have one computer and a Cintiq at home. I would always go down there for the animation. In fact, I was converting my my moon base into Maya, where we could animate in Maya and convert it to After Effects. Unfortunately, since the shutdown, I've had my hands tied with that because I have to spend an inordinate amount of time and money getting the necessary equipment to be able to do that. However, the school that I'm going to be teaching at will have that equipment. Again, we would have to, I guess, work remotely, but they have Maya, they have After Effects, they have, what is it called? All kinds of 3D programs. I know the names of them, I just can't think of them right now, but where they can do that kind of thing. So, but I don't know these people that well yet, because I'm still new there. So, and things are taking a long time because of the shutdown, and I don't have face-to-face interaction, except on a computer, which makes things difficult. But once the union lab opens up, and in my spare time, absolutely, I can create whatever animation and stuff.
Yeah, maybe next time you can show it, with Greg and Paul, and that's we are living in the Hollywood area, so people love to see these things, design, picture, and those animation things. So No,
I was going to say.
So I'm trying to say, if you have, do you have more you like to present, or we are trying to move into Q&A?
Yeah, you can. No, it's just that. Just those space illustrations. You can browse through it at your own time. That's all. You can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep browsing it during your Q&A. Great.
Okay.
So I have one question for Alan before moving back to you. Alan, you show this Space 99 Eagle, which is fantastic, but you also kind of show the Hyperloop. In your picture, do you want to combine them in the operation for the moon base, or is actually separate?
I mean, I could. Yeah, I could do that. I was talking. I can't remember who I was talking to, but somebody asked me, what copyright problems are there? And I said, there's no copyright problems so long as I'm not making money from the Eagle, which it was. I think it was Brian Johnson working with Jerry Anderson who created the Eagle. And I don't know if Brian Johnson is still alive, but I think the Anderson estate owns the Eagle. But in every one of these illustrations, I have the Eagle on a separate layer, which means that at any time I can replace it with another craft. I love the Eagle craft. I was originally assigned to do illustrations for a new Space 1999 remake. So it's a bummer because I love the design of the Eagle. I'm sure it can be improved. I've seen so many versions of it from other people that put their input, but I just love the design. I'm just a sucker for it. So, but if necessary, I have backup designs that I can use to replace it. But yeah, if you think as a iconic image to have the Eagle along with the Hyperloop, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, because you see in the show, the Eagle is very good for construction. They can carry loads. And so that's another question we can ask Greg and you, how would you think, we have companies like Intuitive Machines and Astrobotic. They got the NASA tipping point grant. They are sending landers to the moon this year, next year already. They have the control center. So things are moving. So how do you construct Hyperloop? So Eagle is a good option. And of course you can use robotic. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I love the Eagle. And because it's modular, you can assemble, disassemble. That was the whole idea of that thing. And yeah, so if you want, I could do, yeah, absolutely, an illustration with the Eagle in it, and the Hyperloop. That would be really, really cool. Even the Eagle constructing it, lifting objects and doing that kind of thing. And I could play with the thrusters, put them at an angle, so, and change whatever it needs to change so it works without affecting whatever it's lifting, And yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, great, Adam. Remember the first episode, the Breaking Away, they are using the Eagle to lift the nuclear waste.
Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, back in the 70s, that was, I grew up on that. That was, of course, the science behind, the moon going out of orbit it didn't really, the science wasn't really there, but it was an interesting idea. I think they're trying to remake the series using a wormhole instead of nuclear waste. But so the wormhole, the moon goes down a wormhole, but even that's still theoretical as far as I understand. Speaking to my physics friends, it's still theoretical. They haven't, conclusively determined those things. So, but it would be absolutely. I'd love to do that actually. In fact, I might just start working on it.
And actually, not only for Hyperloop, as I mentioned, March 27, we have a bunch of space architects. It's a perfect thing also to build a space colony, space architecture. They are thinking about robot, which is fine, but there are certain things you cannot do.
Well, if you look at when all the way at near the top, the Eagle docked at the space station. The space station is very traditional. It's a combination of it's like if you look with all the solar panels and the modules, it looks like I don't know, MIR except that it has a centrifuge, so the people can relax in a gravity environment. Yeah, but the Eagle is there with all the. I did a lot of research on NASA robotic arms and that kind of thing. So I've incorporated a lot of that, a lot of real NASA stuff into this. So
is this just your own kind of design, or you are kind of designed it for somebody's design?
Yeah, what I did, this was for a show that was supposed to be made. So I did a lot of research on the robotic arms and that kind of thing, solar panels and modules for space stations. And so I just modified and incorporated them based on what was needed for this. That's all I did, And so they're not exactly the same. I've made some changes, but you'll notice a lot of familiar objects. I mean, in the inside, for example, on the astronaut getting ready to do EVA. He's about ready to step out, and you see all these robotic arms and the Earth in the distance. The hatch, the airlock hatch, is a modified NASA hatch. So I took the NASA design and I modified it, but I didn't modify it. I did not make so many changes that if you see the hatch, you'd say, "Oh, that's the hatch," right? Except it's modified just a little bit. So yeah, I use a lot of the existing, technical reference that I can get hold of to come up with a plausible visual representation of what we're seeing. So.
Yeah, Alan, very, very exciting. We're actually showing this picture. We'll get back to you on this and Hyperloop.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because there are two questions from Greg. I think Mike is asking something about the Virgin Hyperloop and also the Amazon. They're into Hyperloop. Can you comment a little bit and say something about this in relation to your Hyperloop TT?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Go on.
There's two different methods of trying to advance a technology like this. One is which HTT, the Hyperloop Transportation Technology, which is to essentially have people spend their time with, as I've said, earning future stock options with the company, but not being paid. Hyperloop One, which later became Virgin Hyperloop, took another approach where they are paying people to develop it, the technology. You get to control the development a whole lot more when you're paying people than if you are in the HTT technology, which essentially the employees get to somewhat control where they spend their time. But their developments to date have been more visual. And I don't mean this as a criticism, but their latest demonstration in Nevada really is a train on rails, and it was outside of a tube. And that technology exists and is very productive around the world. But it is a stepping stone to the full Hyperloop technology. But I don't think you can run at that speed on a rail. So you're going to have to get into levitation. You have to power it with something that's non-combustible, which anymore is probably the thing to do anyway, but there's no oxygen in the tube. So you can't really use that. So Hyperloop, HTT has signed agreements to develop technologies around the world with major countries like China. And they are working in the Middle East, and they are developing in concert with them, but most of it is at a lower scale, which is more affordable, so it's understandable. So really, you'll see press releases from HTT that talk about another agreement being signed, another element being developed, and it's all necessary to the development of the overall technology, but nothing by itself gets you there, which is why I've been, saying we just simply need to spend the money to come up with a demonstration project, which would take about a 5-mile stretch, about 200-foot wide swath of land to do something like that, with room for a operations center and a station. So that's what really, in my mind, is needed. They're both taking different tacks as far as, corporately how they're developing it, but they're both basically doing the same thing, which is developing elements and keeping interest. I think government needs to step in. I think government's very reluctant to step into something like this. So foreign governments are more willing than US. I'm not sure that really hit on exactly, but that's some thoughts on it.
Heard of anything about Amazon?
I'm not familiar with anything Amazon is doing as far as Hyperloop goes.
Yeah. Okay, so you basically were saying, okay, right now HTT is the most recent one is in the Middle East. Okay, I see. So it's nothing right now in the country yet.
No, their headquarters is in LA, but it's administrative headquarters. So.
Oh, the headquarters is in LA. I
Yes.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we are Los Angeles, Las Vegas section, so it's very interesting. It's good to know.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
actually, it's an old Howard Hughes building that they're
Oh,
out of.
I see.
So
Interesting.
it's kind of nice. And they do have models of what would be like inside of a vehicle, and some of the mechanics of levitation and propulsion at that. So it'd be a place to visit for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can let us know, you can let me know later, and the location, we can tell our people to maybe take a site visit, to
Okay.
see.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would be cool to rest. And Alan, I think you were trying to say something.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself. No, I was a little bit too talkative there. So continue.
Don't worry, you are good. We love it. Okay, so everyone, so we kind of right now open to the floor. So as I mentioned, if you have any question, you can. Some of them you are already unmuted. You are welcome to speak out your question. The other, if you're interested, you can raise hand to say something. Actually, I have tons of questions, but I don't want to take off your too much time. So, Mike, you have any more questions?
Might I just kind of add one quick thing?
Yeah.
This technology is really aimed at like an LA to San Francisco or shorter distance.
Yeah, this is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, the cost of going cross country, if you think of an airplane, all your money's basically on the gates in the plane. Yeah, you use more fuel and you hire the crew for a little longer if you go cross country, but your real investments are the same if you're flying to Denver 1,000 miles, Chicago 2,000, or the East Coast. The technology for Hyperloop, it costs a whole lot more to go further. So we're really focused on the shorter trips, if you will, regional trips. But think about this: if people could live in the Central Valley of California, which is a very poor area, many areas are very poor, and they could work in San Francisco with an hour commute, that's pretty dramatic change in lifestyle. If you think it takes me 2 hours to get up to from Orange County to a play in Yamasen, I could get to San Francisco in less than that time and see a play. So people's habits and lifestyle, just like when they open the suburbs, people's lifestyle will change with this technology, and that's why I'm really so excited about it.
And Mike, you raised hand, so go ahead.
Hi. So you mentioned a little bit about the difference between you and Virgin Orbit. As far as it being used, is there a difference? Because I know that when I was a student, I actually toured Virgin One in Los Angeles, and I know at the time they were talking about it being used is actually with a logistics organization, and at the time they were talking about it being used first for transportation before it would eventually be used for humans. Is that your goal too?
No, I think there was a lot of discussion early on, should this be goods or people movement? And, frankly, it's hard to compete against trains that move things at incredibly low prices. And they have an existing supply chain that is well established over, centuries. It would be hard to come in and beat that through Hyperloop. The problems, of course, with people is you're limited to a half G is basically our design criteria for acceleration and deacceleration. And the curves that I talked about, the resistance to those curves puts a G-force on people that has to be controlled. So it's a little bit harder to do that, which makes the design of where you put these facilities much more difficult. There's a lot of talk about putting them underneath interstates or in the medians of interstates, but if you look at the curvatures of the interstates, they're so small radiuses that you could not maintain much more than 60 miles an hour inside that tube, which is no benefit over the surface streets. So yeah, it's a complex discussion, and I think everyone's going to land on moving people, not goods, if that was the guts of your question.
Thank you. That's all. Yeah. Interesting.
I see, Ian, you unmuted, so you would like to say something? Mr. McNeil?
Oh, no, I don't have anything.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's before people still, I actually have more questions. So yeah, as Greg just mentioned, you're aiming for transport human and short distance, it will benefit a lot. But at the same time, as I mentioned, we have this sustainable aviation people. As I just mentioned, the Sir Air just you can merge, acquire Ampere, which is building electric hybrid aircraft, and those aircraft they were also aiming for short commute, so of course Hyperloop might be more for mass transportation, while this electric hybrid that meant for kind of fewer people, but kind of you can kind of facing some kind of competition from different emerging technology. They are also clean. They are also doing clean fuel, biofuel, hydrogen fuel, those kind of things. So how do you compare this thing? What is the need?
Yeah, and other regional aircraft have the problem of first of all, they're remote, they're not downtown for the most part around the US. And you also have large terminal times. And then you have parking costs. If you're to fly to San Francisco, you're outside, you have to rent a car, go downtown, you have to find a parking place and pay for parking. So even if, and they're slower than Hyperloop would be, but you could fly up there fairly quick, but the terminal times are, for aircraft are pretty extensive. And then if you go down to buses, a real problem. In California, I don't know if anybody's tracking the high-speed rail progress, and they spent, I don't know, $4 billion, $5 billion. I think it's going to be the largest abandoned civil engineering project in U.S. history. It just simply isn't going to be built. But that had potential to compete with Hyperloop, high-speed rail.
Also, Greg, I mean, I have to ask this one because anyway, AIAA is a more kind of aerospace organization. But in this Hyperloop, it involves a lot of things common to aerodynamics or aerospace kind of involved. Can you kind of tell people a little bit what are involved in the Hyperloop engineering or design that is kind of common or similar to what people learn in aerospace?
Yeah, and if you're talking about airplanes, obviously the wings play such a big role, and there aren't any on the others, so that's a difference. On the Hyperloop, there aren't any. But the trying to manage people in smaller environments, which is important for Hyperloop, is also very important for aircraft travel. Having a pressure differential from inside the plane and outside the plane is a big deal for both airplanes and Hyperloop. Managing people on the terminal sides, I envision a gate for the Hyperloop being designed off of effective aircraft gates. If you're talking space, that's a whole nother world. I'm not sure I put enough thought into even comment on that. But as far as airplanes go, there are some similarities and there are some differences between them. And I think we can learn a lot from the similarities because airplanes are pretty efficient and they've been around for a while.
Yeah, let me ask you, actually, I got some conflict. So inside the Hyperloop that you were designing, is that kind of, it's just a regular air or is the same pressure as outside, or is kind of special air and the pressure?
No, it'd just be the same as outside the tube.
Oh, I see.
At least try to be designed. Now, one thing that we've given a lot of thought to, and yeah, I think Ellen might have a comment on this. People like to look out windows. You can't look out a window in a tube. And so we were thought of putting windows in, except that we would place movies, if you will. And the simplistic way to say it is to put a movie in each window showing the landscape that's outside the tube. And you're traveling so fast, you'd have to figure out how to scale that movement so it would be reasonable for the person so that they could know where they are, see what they're going to see. So that's one aspect that'd be different. Two is, I don't know about luggage. Again, getting people on and off that the Hyperloop, we want to be able to do that fairly quickly, and storing luggage and taking it out at the end is might be problematic, but might not be. But we would learn again from the airline industry with regard to that.
Yeah, you mentioned Alan, so maybe Alan want to comment on this. Greg mentioned about the window for Hyperloop.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things, of course, in the rendering that I did, the tube was transparent. So I don't know if that's doable. Of course, with the polymers that we have and the mixing glasses with polymers, they could probably come up with something that is transparent, and you can have windows on the actual vehicle itself and just look out and see, you know. And the struts will be going by, if there are struts, which I have, very, very quickly. So there would be, you'd still be able to see the landscape that way. Now, the other idea of projecting something, that can be done. It will come out two-dimensionally unless you can figure out the technology of projecting a three-dimensional landscape. But those two things are doable. I don't know enough about the, you know, where we are in terms of creating a structure and how expensive or non-expensive it would be to make it transparent so that people could look out. So that would be more the purview of Greg and people like that. So, but that's just one idea. But it is a good idea to have. I was thinking of, in the case of long before Lucas decided to do a Star Wars thing at Disneyland. Actually, it was Disney that decided that, but of projecting images outside craft that you get into, so you think you're riding in space, you know, and what happens is the craft is going on a rail. You're inside, you don't see at all outside. But you think you're traveling in space because that's what's projected on the windows, or beyond the windows, I should say, to give a three-dimensional feeling. And when you get outside, you're on a different planet, you know. So using that same principle, you could, I guess that's one idea of how to apply that to the Hyperloop. If you cannot get a transparent tube, you know, but that's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, we've looked at only concrete and steel structures at the Hyperloop HTT.
Okay.
But as I said at the beginning, I wouldn't rule anything out, and new technology is in the wind with this. So if we can figure out a way to do that economically, that would be great. But and we say project, I'm really thinking more of a TV screen for a window,
right,
rather than a projection. But yeah.
No, I get it. And people might be good with that.
Yeah, it's a little bit like spacecraft. You know, in spacecraft, you cannot really open so many windows, you know. Yeah. So I think it's a little bit like spacecraft. And that's actually my next thing. You know, in AIAA, you know, a lot of people working in aerospace, you know, research or industry, the thing. So yeah, stay with us. You know, we have kind of surprising people, you know, they work on materials or different kind of technology. And honestly speaking, you know, the audience can correct me or something, because honestly speaking, maybe because we are aerospace organization, so we heard about Hyperloop more in the talks or presentation talking about aerospace when they refer to Hyperloop, either like aerodynamics or simulation, and then they say, okay, this can be applied to Hyperloop, or like I said, habitat, like what Alan has been designing here. But actually, I was a little bit, maybe I didn't follow, much of HTT. Actually, I didn't know, it was between San Francisco and Los Angeles. But we know a lot of space people, they are talking about Hyperloop in space. That's a great potential over there. So it's vital to stay connected with the aerospace community because people are paying attention, more on those things. And you see the design is a little bit like spacecraft. So obviously there are some people that are pretty much very experienced in those things. Yeah. Okay, and Mike, I think you raised hand.
Yeah, hi again. When I was listening to Greg talk about the screens inside the inside, it made me think if perhaps a application of this would best be like a ride before a practical type of transportation type system. Like have a smaller version as like some type of entertainment.
Well, that's a great thought. The HRDC design out in the desert that we put together did include using the station design as a place to charge, and people could come out and ride in it for a fee. So I agree with you. I think we'd get a lot of passengers just taking it to see what it's like and such. So I think there is some value in that, especially in the case when you're still scraping for money to put a test facility together. At least that would provide some revenue, and it'd be a unique opportunity for people to come. It's a destination. You'd have to combine it with some other attractions, which we thought about doing also. So yeah, it's a great thought. Then maybe you can lift the half G limit too and go a little higher.
Well, thanks.
Mike, you want to say something?
Have you ever thought of like partnering with Disneyland or Magic Mountain or not? Silly question, but
No, that's a great question. And frankly, no, we did not. And we talked to an awful lot of people with that test facility, but we did not get far enough along to do that. And I think there's some opportunity there. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so yeah, great. I think you mentioned about simulation? What kind of simulation you were talking about? Actually, a few years ago, I went to some talks that they were talking about. It's kind of physics-based simulation for Hyperloop. They were talking actually a lot of things, even about sensors, simulation, those things. Then, as I said, we AIAA also care about the improving human life. And actually, for commercial airline, we actually have people simulating, the COVID-19 situation, the airflow, those kind of filtering process, doing simulation. So is this kind of physics-based simulation, is that what you are in mind? That's what you are talking about?
No, but those are valuable too. But what I was thinking is about a full-scale construction.
Oh, okay.
Of a 5-mile stretch, one tube, where you could accelerate if you could do goods at 1G, so you could get up to 700 miles an hour and back down again. And we put in some artificial horizontal and vertical curves to deal with the rotating the vehicle and keeping it from touching the sides using levitation for 360 degrees around the tube. So, but it'd be a full-scale testing facility, but we could run people through it as an attraction and as a revenue stream to add to help offset the cost of that demonstration facility.
Oh, okay. So where is it? I think you mentioned this in another state.
I'm sorry.
Where is the facility?
Kern County, California.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good. Yeah, we should.
It was flat and it was all on one piece of property. And frankly, if you look at the permitting process in the US, there would be no permits needed for that. Now, you do have to get, if you run people through it, you have to get, if you call it a ride, you have to meet certain design criteria with regard to the materials that you use and the connections that you use. But that's all. It'd be a pretty simple process. Expensive, but simple.
Yeah, I understand. For simulation, generally people think about computer simulation, but like you have those places they call the Mars simulator. It's actually human, simulate living on Mars. So this is kind of simulate in real life, those things. So it has this facility kind of operating regularly. What did they demonstrate, or what do they plan to demonstrate next?
Well, we're not demonstrating anything because it wasn't constructed, but we need to demonstrate that a vehicle, in fact, this technology will operate at this scale for this function. And that's what we need to demonstrate. Simulators are good for determining, well, where the impact on the person riding in it, or what's the impact on this connection. It's not good for saying the whole system works, and we're going to have trouble getting investors. It'd be about $500 million to put this facility together. It's going to be very, very difficult to get investors to build any facility without some proof of that this actually works at that scale. And that means you have to build a 12-foot tube with a vehicle inside of it and a way to get in and out of it and evacuate the air. It's got to demonstrate that the whole concept works.
Yeah, great. So you were saying the real competitor is the high-speed railroad. So the speed are comparable, right? The speed for Hyperloop and the...
I think you're still, high-speed rail is probably around 300 miles an hour, maybe 320. So we're talking 750. So we're still double. Hyperloop is still
okay, I see.
Speed rail. And passenger airplanes, regional airplane is what, 400 miles an hour, maybe 450. So we're 50% faster than a regional airplane, and we don't have, we'd be starting in downtown, going to downtown, not the outside of town, and we don't have the TSA to deal with, at least not yet. So there's some real competitive advantages against both of those.
So is FAA involved in this, because somehow involve aerodynamic design?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I called and talked with Washington on several occasions to say, frankly, nobody regulates. There is, if you follow the laws tell Congress writes the law and tells the administration what they can regulate. And there is no law that gives anybody jurisdiction to regulate a Hyperloop. We are not rail, we are not air, and those are basically what they regulate. So, and we're not a highway. So there is no regulation. I was encouraging them to put it under the Federal Rail Administration, because the closest thing is a high-speed rail. And frankly, the FRA, the way they manage and regulate, they don't fund so much. They just regulate. And that's what I think for starting this process, we need an agency. If they have to fund it, I don't think it's going to get very far. They'll never have enough money to move it forward. So I was looking for an agency to regulate it that would more worry about what the regulations are to allow. If you look at the railroads are all private in the US except Amtrak. All of them are movement of goods, and they are given great latitude by the FRA on what they can do and not do. And that's the kind of regulating agency I would prefer for Hyperloop.
Oh, great. When you mentioned this, I think other than Sir Richard Branson, I think another person who actually kind of put some money or involved was Elon Musk. Because a few years ago, I heard that there's some project I think he was funding. So who heard this Elon Musk get into this? What is his role in these things?
Well, that's a good question because Elon Musk did a white paper that both HTT and Hyperloop One, which became Virgin Hyperloop. His white paper generated the formation of those companies by describing what Hyperloop is and what it could do. And you can get that online. I think it's 2015. It was, if you look up Hyperloop white paper, Elon Musk 2015, something like that, it'll come up. And he has won a couple contracts, and he's actually he's formed a tunneling company, and he's built some tunnels. But his concept is to lower cars into the tunnel, have them go through the tunnel. I'm not sure exactly if they're on rails or if they drive or what it is, and they come out the other end. He's built one in LA, and he built one in Vegas, and he got a permit just like 2 weeks ago to extend that tube. And he also got a very good contract to connect the loop to O'Hare in Chicago. But I've not heard anything about operations on any of those. So he has a couple tunnels in place, but I don't know of anybody running through any of those tunnels. But they are not Hyperloop. They are a different concept.
Oh, okay. So if we're saying right now in the world, it's mostly either Virgin, Hyperloop, or your HTT.
I believe so.
Okay. Okay, Mike, you raised hand.
Yeah, one of the good things about living here in Los Angeles is if you have some time to kill, you can actually drive to the SpaceX area, and you can see a long tunnel that extends from I think it's from Crenshaw to Prairie Avenue. I live right in that area. It's pretty
Okay.
cool. Is that what you are talking about? The one he built?
No,
in Los Angeles?
I actually forgot about that. He did mention that there is a tunnel to move. I'm not even sure, but I'm pretty sure it's goods, not goods, but equipment, materials. No, this is to Dodger Stadium is one of the tunnels
Oh,
he built. But again, I don't know that it's operating, but he got a permit to build that one. And it's right on the strip is where he built the other tunnel in Vegas and got the approval to extend it. So those are the ones I was referring to.
okay.
Oh, and Chicago O'Hare is the third one, and that was a contract. It was a public-private partnership with the city of Chicago, and it is to develop, construct, and operate a facility from the loop to O'Hare.
Is the one near Dodger Stadium, is that visible to the public?
I have no idea.
Okay. The one I think that is out in front of SpaceX is for a competition.
Ah, okay.
Not sure which.
He's sponsored some competitions. I thought they were all for vehicles, but I may be wrong.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Well, this is actually very interesting because so now we kind of, because I mentioned, aerospace people talk about this, for aerodynamics or simulation, computer simulation, or, like in space. We have been having several space architecture events and space manufacturing, 3D fabrication. Do you think the fabrication construction method, according to you are expert in civil engineering, will be different, on Earth and in space, like Moon and Mars? Would you recommend using like a 3D printing technology in space, or you think that the method Alan is drawing with this exciting Eagle, or this different kind of Eagle, you can change the cargo, you can change the payload or carry people. So how do you think the construction method on Earth and in space? How do you think 3D printing, those things?
Yeah, we've looked pretty carefully at concrete and steel, and I think steel is a better performer and competitive cost-wise, but difficult to get to the site. I mean, you can do up to, I think, 14 foot of transport on highways with permits, but it's expensive transport to do that. Whereas concrete, you could set up a batch plant and cast the tubes right on site and move them. So there's where we looked. And if you move into concrete, you can't help but look at 3D printing for that. And I think 3D printing would be difficult at the moment because of the reinforcing and it doesn't just have the loads of being in the ground as a tube, but also the vacuum differential pressure with a vacuum inside the tube. So I think there's, or even up above the ground. So I think 3D printing is a big possibility and has lots of advantages. I think we talked a lot about when we got to the site and tried to start constructing tubes, we would do part of the tube in all three materials, batch plant, concrete tubes, steel tubes imported, and the 3D printed tubes. We would use all three and we would get firsthand experience between what it costs to do it and how they function.
Mike, you raised hand. Let's hear what Alan would say. So Alan, how do you think we are showing the construction in your design for the Hyperloop on the moon?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you comment, if you have Eagle or like a robot and you can do 3D printing, how do you like mingle this in your design, your art or design?
I would show, excuse me, my computer's suddenly talking to me. Yeah, I would show a good angle of an Eagle assembling in off the ground. I won't say in the air because there's no air on the moon. Off the ground, assembling the Hyperloop or whatever it is that you want assembled. And you could use drones. You could have, now that I'm just thinking as I'm going along, you could split the Eagle into sections, use them as drones, have them remotely controlled. They don't have to have an inside pilot, and tailor it that way. And each section, of course, would have to be dealt with differently depending on the weight and the mass of it. So I work, when I do something like that, I work intuitively, and I leave it up to the engineers to do the fine details and make it work, but it sounds great. In fact, if you're interested at some point, I will do that. And, people are set on construction, I think, I don't know, and steel, with concrete and steel. From what I understand, I don't know how magnesium works as a reinforcer. Greg would have a better take on that. But I was at the expo, Space Expo, a couple of years ago, and I had a long talk. Some of these engineers are talking about the magnesium being super light and much stronger than steel. Certain alloys, certain alloys of magnesium or whatever they were using. I'm not sure, but in concrete, there are many ways of generating concrete. I'm a fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, and he back in the 30s, he developed a sort of a process of creating an especially high PSI concrete, condensed concrete with a vibration method. I mean, there are all kinds of things that one could explore in terms of materials on how to create materials. And I think at some point, I mean, it's great to have the old technology, but we're going to have to start thinking outside the box. And when you asked me that question, I just started thinking of new things, break up the Eagle into parts and have each part sustainable as a drone to lift things, and maybe one or two things could even be piloted.
Yeah, Alan.
I'll do an illustration.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah. If you have time, that next time you can show us that. We will keep track with you. And but one thing you mentioned about this Eagle, I want to mention actually the drone thing. It was in the pilot episode, as I said, the breaking away, because several astronauts, the pilot, they got disoriented or killed because of the electromagnetic radiation. So they actually changed the Eagle become remote piloted to avoid the danger. Remember that? Yeah, so it was demonstrated in the first episode.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're bringing this back to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
I watched it so many times. I don't know if 100 times. It was very exciting.
Last time I saw it, I was a kid. So,
and the other thing.
Really,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying I remember enjoying it, and I remember the design.
And actually two things I want to also pitch to Greg and you, because when I recall that there's something civil engineering and related to Hyperloop. The first thing, remember their transportation, right? You landed at the Eagle and to the moon base Alpha, there's a transportation in the tube. Is that something similar to Hyperloop? Is that already similar demonstrated in the series about Hyperloop?
Yes, I think vacuum tubes as old as the 40s or 50s, I think.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense.
May date even before that, but yeah.
Yeah, you maybe before that. You remember that?
Having my dad as a kid was a scientist, and then he became a businessman, and I'm an artist, right? And I remember having an argument with my dad 25 years ago about a vacuum tube across the country that was underground, and could you get from here to New York in 45 minutes? And he said the acceleration would kill them, and you'd have to accelerate halfway and decelerate the rest of the way. And I remember, we were figuring things out on pieces of paper and trying to figure out if that would be a possibility. So yeah, it's an old idea, and there are all kinds of things you can do with it. I think when I'm designing, of course, I'm not limited by engineering. I'm just limited by my imagination. And if I need to I look up certain things. That's like the properties of certain magnesium, element. I mean, it's an element, but certain variations of magnesium and how it can be used. And for example, another thing, when you make glass on the moon, when you create glass on the moon, it's different than the glass on Earth. It has a much higher strength. It's stronger than steel, actually, because of the airless environment. You have 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. And that's something I looked up because I noticed I like to attend lectures online from scientists and other things and just listen to what they have to say. And one of them was talking about if you created glass on the moon, if you made a Hyperloop, you could make it out of glass because on the moon, it's different. They don't have those microscopic air bubbles that the glass has on Earth, and it becomes much, much stronger material. And so little things like that I'm always interested in, and I try to incorporate in the illustrations.
Yeah, Alan, right? This the tube, like a hyperlink in Space 99.
Right.
And also another thing I'll come back to you and Greg is about the moon base Alpha. But Ian raised his hand, so let's hear from Ian. Go ahead.
Oh yes, hi. Yes, for suggestion for Alan in future. By the way, I love your art. For temporary, well, it's a relative term, whatever that means. Temporary structures on top of the moon, just like Mars. I would suggest that any structures, although visually from an art or movie, it looks stunning to see moon-based structures on the surface, but more permanency and also long-term protection against radiation. I'm envisioning seeing architecture more going underground in the moon or in the old lava tubes and so forth. So you might think about an artistic concept where you're like building inside a crater or mountain and maybe some structural stuff sticking out of the mountain, for example.
Yeah. I was also thinking micrometeoroid bombardment is an issue as well. Yeah. So when I did this, I was kind of flying high, on a visual film. But yes, at the same time, it's interesting. the concept of glass, building glass on the moon, because I don't know how much that's been explored, but I heard a scientist talk about it one day, and I looked it up, and sure enough, at least on the sites that I looked at, they gave the explanation as to why it would be far stronger. But I don't know how much work has been done on that. We haven't been to the moon too many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely, and it has occurred to me, and it's probably more practical to do exactly as you said. Yes.
Yeah, Ian and Alan, I think though probably not much on the moon, but I believe there are people making glasses on International Space Station. Yeah, fiberglass glass. I think they have done that.
Do they do it in an airless environment?
That I don't know the detail. We are trying to set up events, so hopefully we can get the person back to talk
Yeah,
about
obviously it's in a microgravity, but maybe
I
not
understand.
airless. I don't know.
I know, but I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
And this is survivability was not one of my expertise when I was in the working for Legacy Hughes / Boeing BDS, but I noticed on the solar arrays, it's maybe doped with some other minerals. Glass, depending on the thickness, has some certain radiation blocking properties, especially if it's doped with some other materials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense completely. Yeah. It's definitely in the shots of the astronauts in free fall. You can see them in free fall in one of the drawings. The glass is polarized and of course I'm not going to explain exactly what it is because I don't know, but it's definitely polarized and filtered to block all kinds of radiation. Yeah. So yeah, it's wonderful to dream, and then also wonderful to roll up your sleeves and make it happen.
Yeah, Alan, I want to, actually I was about to say something. Alan, I don't know if you heard of the general called the Chesley Bonasdale.
I have not.
Yeah, we have event.
Again?
Chesley Bonasdale.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the artist a long time ago, and he was kind of.
I think, okay, keep talking.
Yeah, he has some kind of book with Werner von Braun, and he designs, paint something, like a Destination Moon, and also for some movie.
Right.
And some of our engineers said his art inspired them to go into rocketry or into Apollo space shuttle program. So art actually inspire engineer. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes you have to work with engineer, but it's kind of inspiring. So he has something got wrong in the Odyssey, 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Kubrick was give him very high praise and initially want him to be the art director, but anyway, he got something wrong about the surface of moon, something and the thing. But he inspired many people. And the third thing was, like the Starship. It was actually, people were saying it's like the old movie. It's a vertical landing. So now you are going back to the old idea. And just tell you another joke. It's not joke, but it's a story we have years ago. We have a sci-fi versus science technology event. A lady from Caltech, he was saying that 100 years ago there was a science fiction, which is talking about human being colonize Mars and form a community. And the society there was the leader of 12, and the leader of the 12 is called Elon. So everybody was laughing. Was that the science fiction predicted Elon Musk's name, or Elon Musk's parents read this novel and gave it Elon this name? So this kind of imagination thing actually kind of is mutually, benefit from each other. But of course, you're right. Better to check with the engineer and scientists, and you are also bigger. But one thing I was trying to say is actually combined with what Ian just said about the survivability radiation, and Greg was talking, and now Alan was saying. Because these days we see there was some kind of movie, they are showing some moon lunar structure, and it was blasted off by the aliens or something like very tall structure. But Ian also mentioned about the radiation. And if you actually, honestly speaking, I think the Space 99 has a very good feature. It's a combination of, can your Hyperloop, this tunnel transportation, and this kind of low profile moon-based structure. They don't have tall buildings. If you look, thinking about it, it's moon-based alpha is almost flat, and most of their structure is underground. And and that it also combined the Eagle. You see the Eagle transportation, the airlock was very well designed. And from landing, transportation to the base, you have airlock. Those things, they kind of combined with what you were talking. And Greg, you are a civil engineer. This from the civil engineer point of view, and from Alan, designing point, and from Alan, aerospace engineer point of view, I think it's a good combination, to come back with radiation, transportation, those kind of things.
Yeah, Ken, you were just mentioning that I was just thinking the visuals from, if you remember 2001 Space Odyssey movie. Yeah, when they were going to the moon, there was a lot of, underground structures in the moon, so.
Yeah. Actually, you're exactly right. And the Space 99, some people
Also,
were saying, if you look at the first episode, there were several things that actually remind you the 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
The docking with space station, those kind of, I think they kind of learned a little bit from it. But I think you're right. I think that, for Space 99, they are more realistic, in terms of how humans live on the moon, I think there are they are all low profile building and mostly underground. And if you look at their Eagle base, you landed on the surface, but they can pull you down to the how to say, underground. Yeah, so it's very realistic design. They don't have tall structures, and maybe from Greg's point of view, on the moon, maybe the Hyperloop on the moon is not going to be extended too high on the surface. It probably might be in the tunnel.
Yeah, it may be underground. Yeah, absolutely. I only did that for visuals.
Or it might be protruding a little bit to the surface, but majority might be underground, something like that. So Greg, I think a lot of people talking to move to the moon and Mars, they are talking about underground, construction. That's why people to avoid that. Otherwise, you have to have the radiation protection materials. The concrete probably is not the best. And on Mars, there's probably a lot of iron, so you can probably make steel. But on the moon, using local material on the moon, I don't know enough about the resources for steel, for iron to make steel. Right. On Mars is probably doable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
why don't you look up the properties of glass created on the moon, because that's something I heard from a scientist, and I looked it up, and apparently there's a lot of truth to what he says. So
no problem. I'll personally I'll ask some kind of expert and see if we have somebody did something. Great. Yeah, no problem. Please work with us. That's something.
Absolutely.
We have people. Those we have.
Absolutely. So
very exciting. And Greg, Alan, so please stay connected with us. I think there's very exciting things going on.
Okay.
But and also March 27, I will send you the Zoom link. Please, if you have time, even just a few minutes, stop by and take a look, because those architects, they are doing similar thing that your construction, and transportation. And agriculture, living space, kind of similar nuggets, but you focus, especially Greg, you focus more on the transportation. But you several fellow civil engineering, so a lot of things, the architect design, there, and you will know whether these are practical or something. That's a good point to combine. And we do have material experts, whether from aerospace engineering or from other field. They might not tell you if it's top secret. They cannot tell you, but at least, there's certain thing, if it's, they can say, or scientific study that you say on the moon, the public domain, they can remind, you what has been done, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, I have more questions. I have so many things and I wish to work with you. both of you and Paul more and have more with the event with you, but I don't want to, and also the time issue, don't want to keep it forever. So anybody else, do you have any question? Oh, Mike has another question. Mike, you can just say it. I think you said it in a very good way.
Well, when we're talking about having a hyperloop on another planet, I was thinking about what Elon Musk, he answered a question when somebody asked him, are you gonna have boring machines on Mars? He said it would be good because it'd protect people from radiation. So I was asking, how are we going to get the boring machines on Mars or the moon?
Yeah.
Well, there's three types of tunneling that we do. One is cut and cover tunnels, where you just dig down, or essentially a box culvert and or a bridge, and then just cover back up again. You have rock mining, where you have to drill and blast, and then you have boring machines. And I guess you'd probably do it, send it up with parts and assemble there, but. There's a lot that goes into that as far as it's very water intensive to wash the material away. And, water is an issue on other planets. So that's about as far as I know that I can comment on it. But like I say, there's a couple ways to put them underground other than just tunneling.
Can I ask one more quick question? Ken?
Yeah.
Okay. When I visited the Hyperloop 1 facility, which is now Virgin Orbit, they had a model of the Hyperloop underwater. And I think at that time they had a model of it going from, it could be Seattle to San Francisco. Have you explored that? And also, could that be why it's not considered a train, because it can be underwater?
Well, train is a rail definition. So it underwater or not, it is kind of irrelevant for a definition of a train. So, but yeah, if it's in a tube, we run interstates underwater. Chesapeake Bay is a bridge tunnel project. You run a bridge out, and then it goes into a tunnel, goes underneath the bay and back out again. It'd be no different than that to run a Hyperloop through it. Much smaller scale, frankly, for Hyperloop than it is for that. There's a study that HTT did and declared it feasible to go from Cleveland to Chicago, and they're skirting around the south of Lake Michigan. And I actually looked into what it would take to, instead of going south and then around the end of Lake Michigan, then north, to just run it through Lake Michigan. There's a lot of regulatory process involved, but certainly feasible. But if you're in a tube, it doesn't matter if you're underwater or under dirt. I mean, design characteristics are different, but keep in mind, you got to try to keep this thing fairly level. When you're traveling 750 miles an hour, it's a lot of G-forces to go left, right, up, or down. I think everybody's on mute.
Sorry, sorry. I was asking, is any website link or document talking about what HTT has been doing, accomplished, and what they plan to do, those kind of things?
I keep, we have a separate LinkedIn account for employees, and I've been keeping track of that for years, and I have not looked online, so I'm not even sure what's available online for HTT. I'm sorry to say, but it's not something.
Yeah, I think it's good, to has kind of compilation to that. The headquarters is in, I just say Howard Hughes, Boulevard, and what they did before, and what they plan to do. I think that will be quite helpful. Otherwise, that's a surprise. They were actually trying to do something between Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's good to kind of have this thing each for easy reference. Otherwise, people don't know. People heard about version 1, Hyperloop 1 version, Hyperloop, but don't heard that much about this. But on the other hand, it could team up very well with, as I said, the space architecture group or some of the AIAA group or aerospace company that might have some very unusual application for this.
Yeah, like a lot of things in life, it comes down to money. Yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
What kind of return would those groups get for participating with Hyperloop as compared to participating in other more traditional activities for that group? So that's a trade-off.
Yeah. A few years ago, we have a group, they were talking about, they have their design of gateway, like a tubular design. You can swap the interior lab or something like that. And they face a similar issue. So they were trying to look for some, but that's the tip, it's not me. They come to our event, giving talks, and some tend to give them some tips, say they can, some aerospace company, also like what Paul said initially, if some research institute like university or some primes like an aerospace company, they kind of found some of the things that you're doing that interested, they might find, some of part of it, as kind of study or something they could feel interested. That's another way of doing it. Actually, Paul said in the very beginning, so yeah, it's we provide the platform, we post a video, people look into it, and you might get some surprising contact or something like that.
Yeah. I just looked at technically the headquarters on Jefferson Boulevard in Culver City.
Okay, I think I passed by that.
It's
area.
still LA, but
Yeah, I know. That's it's that area used to have several aerospace company, and Northrop Grumman moved away many years ago. They had a headquarters there a long time ago. Then they moved to Washington, D.C. Yeah, this is very exciting, but we can keep going on. But is anybody has any further question? If not, I think let's ask. Oh, Ian, do you want to say something?
Oh, no, it's thanks. Yeah, this is all great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
imaginative.
Fantastic. Yeah. And as I said, we will keep working with Greg, and Alan will, of course, you will be back at Hyperloop, but we'll work with you on the other thing. We talk about.
Yeah.
Now that's very exciting.
Absolutely.
But first, I will send you the link after the event for the March 27th. You take a look. If there's something that that you feel kind of appeal to, Greg too, thinking about it, because it's kind of linked, as I said. So maybe we should do this. Maybe as a final, say, Greg, Alan, do you want to say something, a few words, to conclude your presentation today?
Well, one is thank you for the opportunity to do this. Kenny did a good job on emceeing a topic that's not exactly well defined, so did a great job on that. So I appreciate it, and feel free to contact me anytime if you would like to follow up on anything. Thanks.
Oh, welcome. Will do.
Yeah, and thank you from me as well. I was really happy to talk and share some of my artwork, and to really get to know some of you guys, and I've learned quite a bit. And we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, and actually, we also have the gaming development event coming up. So I know you are teaching those things as well. We're very excited about this. I can tell you, people think it's kind of crazy how aerospace company, I can tell you, aerospace company are hiring people on the gaming thing.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they're hiring. So it's a very legitimate and valid topic these days for aerospace.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of Sid Mead, but he was a futurist that has deep impact on our society. I mean, so many things came out of his mind. He was an artist, but he had a background in transportation design, and he used that. He was a great futurist. He designed for Blade Runner, for 2010, one of the last movies he ever did was Tomorrowland, which is based on his work. Just imagining the future, and he had a good sense of what he was doing, you know. And I got to meet him. He actually invited me. I was really surprised because he was one of my heroes growing up. He invited me to one of his shows, and it turned out it was his last show, unfortunately. But it was like a goodbye event type of thing. So it's always good to dream, man. It's always good to dream.
That's true. And if you read more about AIAA, and you can realize it's actually exactly what AIAA has been doing.
Right.
AIAA was merged in 1950 or 60 from two societies, one founded by the Wright brothers, one founded by Robert Goddard, that you can know. So those people are dreaming, you know. Yeah. And we're also interested in this future city, you know, for cars, electric hybrid, you know, aircraft, you know, and those are future, you know, clean energy, biofuel, hydrogen. We have propulsion energy, you know, and all those aircraft design. And I just mentioned, we have the Dr. Dan Raymer is our AIAA fellow. He just released his design for Mars airplane, you know, Mars airplane.
Wow.
Yeah, so we published in our in the AIAA journal and also in our newsletter last week. And April 17th, his collaborator. Actually, this also point out very important for visualization, because he has some collaborator converted his very technical paper into visualized animation, or like what you're doing, and they are going to present it on April 17th. So that's a great example.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, turn this you know, engineer, a very complicated engineer design into attractive, you know, practical. I have a feeling maybe, you know, as maybe next NASA mission, they probably might be adapting his design to, instead of helicopter, they put a real airplane over there.
Yeah,
right, so,
yeah. That's great.
Yeah, wonderful, really amazing. Really, thank you so much, Greg. You know, Alan, and sorry, Paul. You know, this the news. So we'll stay in touch.
And thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Very excited.
Yeah, we're all excited. That's good.
Very good. Very good.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. So the next topic is a little bit not exactly, you know, on this fancy talk, you know, about this Hyperloop or new technology. It's more about AIAA operation, because, you know, we got a couple question about, you know, benefit of AIAA, and one very obvious benefit was very directly is the engage. And the people ask me what is engage and what is benefit of joining AIAA, and how do you communicate with AIAA members. So today I have been checking with our headquarters, and they are developing new features, but it's important we kind of discuss with members and group and see if there any feedback about this thing. So this is outline. So basically just to show you outline, and I'll show you, make some demo. So when you become a member of AIAA, you immediately have the access of two things. One is the AIAA.org. If you go there and log in, and you can see my AIAA. So you have basically your account information, membership, you know, member directory, those kinds of things. A couple of settings. Another thing, great thing you have is you can log. Is the same login. It's called Engage, and the website is called engage.aiaaa.org. And there you can see a lot of features which I'll show, you know, demo quickly. So immediately got this, and the advantage of this is that you can post your message and certain kind of engaging with the community, and you can post like open forum, or for example, if you are LA, Los Angeles a member, you can post to the LA or Los Angeles member community, or any special technical committee or other things you are involved without emails. So this is actually, I will show you, it is also designed to reduce the traffic and email, you know. And certain people, you don't have email, but you look up their directory, you can send a request to see if they're willing to communicate with you through the Engage system. And then you can see any question? Okay, so the good thing is, another thing is open forum. You can reach out to all the AIAA members worldwide. But one thing people got confused is this is a social media. No, it's not a social media. As a fact, a lot of people working AIAA, I mean, associated with AIAA, they are working aerospace companies. They are not allowed to have social media because cybersecurity. So it's not a good way to treat it as a social media. It's not the way we want people have AIAA want you to think. That's a social. It's not. And what is it's more like if you go to a conference, they give you an app, like some AIAA space or aviation conference. They give you an app, and you connect with the attendees. Then you can talk to the speaker attendee in that kind of specific app or kind of website, and you can listen to some of the talks, without being there. It's a little bit more like that, but you can communicate with fellow attendees. Okay, so and I will show you also the setting how to, there are so many emails today, but if you then you can set your frequency as daily or each email, each notice post, or no emails at all. You will just log in and look at yourself. This will reduce the email traffic. But you see, since you can communicate with people, we got several times got inquiry from there, and they ask for urgent response, but it's not. It's actually just meant for communication, but it's not for urgent contact. If urgent contact, you still better use email or direct phone call. As I said, the discussion board is actually very useful. They're improving the look of it, but it's actually very helpful if you want to have AIAA specific communities without issue of cybersecurity, or involve external society, which has a lot of features, but they don't focus on security and also the topics. And another benefit is we have the another alternative engage microsite, which is similar to website. It's not fully, but I'll show you. It's give you some kind of good information, and we can improve on that. And we're working on the new interface app, those kinds of things. And this is meant for engaging members. For example, I'll show you too. They recently set up the high school membership. They have a web, the engage site, and also, but of course, for high school membership, they kind of protect it, because for young adults, we have to protect them. But for other people, young adults, students, professional, we have the this kind of discussion board or mentorship page. Then we need your feedback and such suggestion during this event or afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this screenshot for the engage. There are several things, but let me show you first one. Okay, what you see here is a microsite. So this is AIAA, engage AIAA.org//Los Angeles/Las Vegas. This is a microsite. So you can see our thing that we put up a calendar in the middle. There's actually a Google Calendar for our upcoming event meetings. And then on the left, you can see this upcoming events is updated. You can see today's and the coming up. On the right, you can see the library. We post our newsletter, videos, pictures over here. And the bottom, we can actually create something more newer as well, and some useful links. And you can see we also have the blog page, and at the bottom, you can see the latest discussion. The latest discussion, because I log in, so I'm a Los Angeles Las Vegas member, so you can see I post this thing. This is one of them I posted in December. In your community. But if you not log in, you won't see this. You only see the public one on the other panel here. So this is called a microsite, and we also make an announcement sometimes here. Of course, we also have our web page. For example, we actually have a dedicated web page. Like this, which is not the topic of today, but anyway, just to show you. They also have some resources over there. So this is our alternative web page. So you can see a lot of things. And I talked to Alan, we have the gallery aerospace art as well. So hopefully he can join us. But this is just part of it. And I also have, kind of events, member spotlight. It says gallery. I think we can more kind of, we also have a specific gallery on space structures. We got a permission from our Globus is an expert in leader in space colony. So he offers some kind of, and there is a community which I'll go there shortly. Then you can see you have homepage for the engage, and you can see there's a kind of announcement tell you what it is. Latest discussion. So announcement, and those things, shared files is a great platform. So and there are a couple of menus, but I just want to point out, if you click the community, you can show your community or all communities, and there's a place. I'll just show you quickly, because open forum is a very important feature. Now I'm going into this community thing. You can see a couple AIAA Space and Missile Group, Los Angeles, Las Vegas officers section. The section is with all the members. So this is a place you can post your inquiry, discussion, those things. And we have an open forum. This is open to all the members. So if you're there, you post, some students post their resume, ask for advice. And, some people post their event, still say, okay, I need, like Ellen, I need some kind of input, people how to make a glass, on the moon, those kind of things. And then, this is another source. There's a benefit for you when you become the member. And it's already covering the membership. There's no extra fee. So then you can add a discussion or go to library, look into the resources. And here you can see it says members, it shows 32.4K. That's the member on the engage. And you can see, then you can look up the names, or there's a list of names, and you can send a message or request to add them as a contact. They can deny, but but they, most of the time they will be happy to stay connected with you. It's not like email. So then your calendar, how to get involved, explore. I just want to point out, if the people are looking for space policy, discussion posts or podcasts, we're also developing our local Los Angeles, Las Vegas section podcast, but this is for the national. Like a Korean center. In the Korea center, you can see looking for qualified candidate. If you are employer, you can post jobs, those kinds of things, and you are looking for opportunity. This is a great resources to look into. Then if you you can, there's also, there are many good resources. I can answer, or you can let me know later on. So there's a help section. You can help you how to do things, how to post and get a response. And for example, in the how-to library, and you can see a lot of things, how to use the engage, or for taking activities, those kind, how to engage with AIAA and the community. And there is a engage 101, for AIAA read community. So the last thing they just added recently is called a mentor match. So you can seek mentor, you can enroll as a mentee if you are interested to mentor other people. And you can also enroll as mentor, and also people can look for each other. So this is a really great resources, but it's new, so you can look up who needs to the mentorship, who can provide the mentorship. So this is very useful for all ages. Two is I can go into a community. So for example, I go into my community, and I can choose in, for example, I joined the Aerospace Cybersecurity Working Group, but I can also say this open forum, because I just posted something yesterday. If you go there, then you can see the one thing in the latest discussion post. I posted one thing for the March 27 event. Then you can click add and add your own post to request, information like a glass formation, manufacturing on the moon, or certain things. For example, yesterday I tried to post this event for March 27 there. And so this is what I did. There's a message to everyone in the 32.4K people. They will read and they can join us in the thing. And on their end, they probably set it, such that they only receive daily summary or no email, so it reduce the email. But they can also set, to have a notification for each of the posting. Then you can reply to this, and somebody click like. That's very good. So it's a little bit like social media, but not exactly. And we don't want to make it as a social media because that's a no-no for many defense contractor or aerospace company. They don't want social media. So people didn't realize this. So so this is a very good point. Personally, I found it's very useful. For example, you go to a conference, you are saying you are maybe just use today's topic. You are taking the same Hyperloop. I don't know if you call it train or spacecraft, but transportation vehicle. And you go there and you have the kind of this thing. You can kind of connect it with a fellow passenger, or like in a conference, somebody give a talk, and you can pose your question or contact with fellow attendee. They may not sitting in the same room. So give you a sense that you are in a home or a community, a close community. So this is what it's actually meant for, and provide resources for the members. So that's what all the Engage is all about. And we are trying to improve the interface. Just like, you see that this looks like an email, but it's not an email. You can post HTML there, and some people may not be used to it, but actually it's not too complicated. It's a little bit like Outlook. You can set it as HTML or non-HTML text-based. So you can see here, obviously you can post the boldface. This is agenda for March 27th. Sustainable building on demand. Advanced architecture. The bioregenerative worlds, greenhouse, lunar Mars greenhouse. Those kind of things. And you can post the link, to email, website URL. So it's not a problem if you can even post pictures. So some people not familiar with this, they say they cannot do HTML, but actually it can. It's not. It's actually very simple. But it's like Outlook. You have to set it properly. Then you can share your documents in the library, and people can share or can use the thing people share. There is a great amount of information over there. You probably have to go through which one you need, but you can share files. That's the main point. You can discuss with people there, and you can see who are those people also in the same community, and you can choose the community you would like to join. But of course, if you are AIAA member, your address you provided is in Los Angeles, Las Vegas area, you are automatically affiliated with the Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Yeah, Bob, give it a try, because as I said, there are some high school students membership, and then the mentorship could be beneficial for you.
I already sent out to the school that the membership is open. And then I was thinking, we have a group of students that are working on radio telescopes and measuring emission lines from the center of the galaxy. And I was thinking I might put pictures up of what they're doing, because it involves electronics also. They have to build an amplifier that's to measure the emission from hydrogen lines at the center of the Milky Way.
Yeah, very good. So hopefully, in the future, if you use the Engage and to approach a student or for you can share your experience with us. Like how this beneficial for your outreach to students, or how if you get any resources you need, from Engage or any kind of improvement we should do.
Yeah, I certainly will.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you're a great educator, so we kind of counted on you.
Also, I was thinking maybe we could advertise through this to Los Angeles Unified, and that might be you get a wider group of people that might be interested.
Yeah. Why don't you? You are a member already. You have access. Why don't you do it? you
Yeah, I
know,
will.
yeah, if you want us to take a look before that, you know, welcome. You can send us first, but you know, you are welcome to post it. This platform is meant for you, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I know several members already try to benefit from it. You know, post their kind of requests, and some students post their resume. You know, and asking some guidance, and we have also kind of internationals, even you know from India. They also post something, you know, asking for some education resources. So it is actually a good, very useful platform, which is people didn't realize. But just like many things AIAA did, you know, people didn't realize, you know, like the small satellite conference was actually associated with AIAA a few years ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I attended a few of those at Cal State LA.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, so Bob, you know, keep connected, keep in touch. You know, let us know anything you need, and like this.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem, no problem. Thank you, thank you. So, yeah, anyone, if you are AIAA member, have you been using it? Well, I mean, maybe people are a little bit shy, so don't. It's okay. So this is just to kick off the usage kind of demo for Engage. We'll get more and more you know, people to raise the question or see how to improve it and how to use it. So if you have any specific questions, you know, how to use it, you know, those things, you can let me know, let us know, because it is a good platform. I always tell people that you know, a lot of people working in aerospace, they cannot have social media, and the social media is good for kind of, you know, public general things, but when you come down to the kind of deeper outreach, you know, like AIAA professional society educational, the social media platform is not very effective, as we have been seeing, because people are not just, you know, like political things or entertainment. They kind of just follow up the things that people are looking into professional society for certain needs or for certain connections. So if we try to keep it with regular social platform, it's not very effective, because a lot of time you use general public, unless you have some event with, like, say, Buzz Aldrin or some celebrity, they are not going to pay a lot of attention. But there are a lot of people, professional educators, students, that use specific resources. They won't get this in regular social media. Maybe a little bit on LinkedIn, but specific for aerospace, you know, AIAA is a leading society, so there's a very good thing, you know, compared to other society kind, aerospace, non-aerospace. This Engage is a very good feature for people to get connected.
What you see is the starting of
sorry, Adam, I have to kind of mute it temporarily.
Version, like I show you at the beginning of the talk, but this is just a first.
I think there's some interference.
Okay, so it's not from your end.
No.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Yeah, so it's okay. Yeah, because I kind of look at it, so yeah. So Alan, are you yeah, I mean, we welcome any people to join, but you know, for if you, the educator membership is free, you know, if you kind of involve with some kind of outreach, that's a good approach. But anyway, just I think they also allow non-member to create account, but just by creating account, you still cannot access like Aerospace America or Engage. You know, just offer the information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to be a member to participate or attend or speak, you know, our events. It's just kind of just to show what we can offer. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, very good, very good. So, yeah. So, any question regarding to this demo or Engage usage?
I'll have to. With me, I'll have to ask questions when I can actually see. You know, I've listened to what you've been saying without any visuals, so because I'm on the phone.
Yeah, I understand.
Just,
understand.
Yeah. So
we can sit on the side when you have time, we can kind of figure out how to assist you to get, because we'll do more things with you,
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah, so to test, how this computer connection can be figured out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Okay, very good, very good. So I guess if, okay, somebody raised hand. Mike, go ahead.
I can. I've been on Engage. I was involved in IAAA for a while before I think I knew about it right away, and then I think I went to it and I kind of spent more time on it much later. It has a lot of good information, and it's a good resource. My only opinion, and where I think it could be improved, is I think that a lot of what's on our microsite could be made more. It's just a little busy for me. Like I like the ability to connect with people. I like the ability to see when events are going on and get information about events. I see here it has links to all the social media. So that's what mainly is most important to me. There seems like there's a lot more to the site. I haven't really public shared files.
Yeah, that's where we post the video. We also post a video on YouTube. You also post it here. And there's like a newsletter or like event photos. We used to post it here for the in-person events. Of course, on the AIAA-LALV.org, we also post those things. The one thing about this Engage, this microsite you're seeing here is that we don't have 100% control as a local section. So we kind of, this Outlook, we are limited to build things within this Outlook. We can do something, but then it's a little bit limited. But our own website, we can do whatever we want.
Unless I spend a lot of time on the site, it seems just a little too busy for me to like want to go on it all the time.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, for the website, it's easier to do that. Okay, that's a good command. We can adjust it. There's no problem. But which information you feel the most is like events information? Should that be kind of put?
Just wondering if everything could be maybe consolidated better.
Okay.
But I'm not being critical. I think it's actually pretty good the way it is. I'm just not, I haven't spent enough time on it to really, know my way around very well.
Yeah. Actually, you see, if you use microsite open, you can see immediately you can connect to communities or LALV communities. Yeah, but one thing is we are trying to kind of put more features to attract usage. Do you think if anything that will attract you, or you think other people will be attracted to, some kind of feature to put on this page that will help you to visit here more open?
Me personally, I'm not sure. Flashy videos. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good point. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually for our other website, it's easy to put the video. For this side, we have to work with headquarters because I think they deliberately try not to get people to post too many videos on the server. But that's a good point. We have to attract people that we have to do whatever we like.
I think it's different for everybody because different people are wanting to get different things out of AIAA. I like coming to events. I'm not really interested in spending a lot of time on I don't spend a lot of time on social media in the first place. So I'm not sure how much I would want to be connected
Yeah,
on here.
you actually got the point because if everybody kind of stretch social media, it's generally just for the social, let the society know what we are doing. But in reality, it's not very effective. I've been trying to help on that end because unless you are the professional society, people look up to you, AIAA, for professional event or engaging education resources. Another thing AIAA is very good is publication. That's another thing people looking, publish their papers and of course another thing is called the technical committee. For each kind of rocketry or space structure, space architecture, satellite, cybersecurity, all kinds of things, or space chemistry, those kinds of things. So that's what AIAA is very good at. So if you push those things for social, it's not very effective because unless in the society, not everyone is interested in those technical details or specific professional event, but it's good for them to know because they will but people who will be joining AIAA willing to pay for the membership, they might have something here, even they're artists or some other people, they join membership, they want to have some kind of connection. So that's what the AIAA is very good about, provide platform, networking, publication, information resources, that's you can get, and engage is a way to help people to do that easily. Otherwise, you have to kind of look, who is who, then should I contact this or that person?
Yeah, and in my opinion, social media can be very distracting because like you said, it is very general. So you can just go in any different direction. So I do like the ability that when you go here and you want to be social is pretty specific and you could focus on what you're interested in.
Yeah, that's initially why we have this kind of discussion. It is meant, for example, this discussion here, we posted for the Los Angeles, Las Vegas community. So, you have some, question for the local community. Say you're asking, is there like electric hybrid aircraft flying near term, similar like this. This is design. We provide events so people in the event, can chat or network. I think that's the most effective way of doing things. But if we don't go to event all the time, then this offer another opportunity. Just imagine you are sitting in a conference, then you want to ask, say, a specific person or fellow attendee, or something, or just say hi, what are you doing, those kind of things. This is the discussion here, and certain issue to want to be raised, and you can, there's also open forum as well. So Mike, you're right. Actually, we have been trying. So it's not very effective. It's actually, in a sense, it's a little bit general. So the most effective is the events, but it complementary to the event. That's we have the engage and the online system.
Yeah. Well, I've been checking my email more lately than usual. So
events and resources. That's where we can even put more pages, as local, like a local membership, mentorship, or local, so maybe something like a joint club or something like that. We can develop those kind of things. There's a lot of potential, but people are not attracted to this as we thought. I think another issue is that when you join the membership, the AIAA National Office didn't explain it clearly, the engaged benefit. I think that's another reason people ignored. Yeah.
I think it could. I don't think that people are disinterested. I think that people just I know you have a very big presence on social media. So, we see the events on LinkedIn, if we're connected there, if we're connected on Facebook, and we're getting the emails. So I think right now, I know personally, we can be so overloaded with
I know.
information.
Zoom fatigue. They call Zoom fatigue. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have time, or we don't feel it's necessary to dig deeper and get more involved online.
Yeah, understand. Yeah. Yeah, good points. Yeah, well, we just here try to help, to provide the information when if we need it. Not trying to jam everybody. So it's you see that's why we are trying to be careful. Each day, try to limit the emails. But sometimes we have to, because I have to explain here, because that's the very special thing in aerospace community. People rely on still mostly emails. We try to reduce the number of emails sent out for the event notice, or try to use social media, or they are not very effective. And you can see the people attend event drop because of that. People want to be reminded in a way, but so far, emails remain the most effective way of reaching out people, especially in this community, because I think for emails, some company might have a way to filter them, in a secure way, and that's the way they are allowed to use or they used to use. But unfortunately, just sometimes too many emails. So some people, I can tell you one thing is actually quite a lot of people ask us to advertise for their personal or other organization activities, but we're overwhelmed. If we're doing this for this everyone, then people won't see what is exactly what AIAA wants us to do, or AIAA message, AIAA email, or event notice. So there's a dilemma here, but it's just this very situation of overwhelming, emails, and we try to reduce it, and people can pay attention, open the email. We went through a lot of discussion and effort, try to make sure, people can pay attention to the messages without being overloaded.
Ken, I'm gonna have to run.
Okay, thank you. We're probably concluding now.
Yeah,
Alright.
because I'm not
Understand.
seeing anything, but I was listening to you anyway, so.
Okay, great. So actually, we are
Thanks a lot.
concluding this event. Thanks a lot. So thank you, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if
right.
anybody have any specific question, you are welcome to shoot us a message, and we're happy to explain. And
Absolutely.
yeah. If we get some more updates from the headquarters, things we'll do another demo with some more new features.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
Up to good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.